చిల్కానాంధ్ర పేరు విన్నదే. ఏమిటి వాళ్ళతో ఏదైనా మనం పూట ఇక్కడ సెలవు ఇచ్చుకుని వాళ్ళకి పెట్టుకోవాలి.
కరెక్ట్.
అంతేగాని
బట్ వాళ్ళు రెస్పాండ్ చేయలేదు. అడుగుతుంది వాళ్ళు
లేట్గా ఊరుకోండి. సారీ మరో ఈసారి వచ్చినప్పుడు చూద్దాం. ఫీట్
But then it keeps moving, so should I tape it down?
No, this is okay. Yeah.
Yeah, now you can push it down, right? So
Just 3 seconds after the class.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
It is fine. Yeah.
Google, it's confirmed.
కన్ఫర్మ్ ట్యూస్డే రేపు కూడా నేను మీకు చెప్తాను. ఓకే. ఓం ఓం.
Okay, that's good.
ఓం శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. హరి ఓం. యస్య నిశ్వసితం వేద యో వేదేభ్యోఖిలం జగత్ నిర్మమేతమహం వందే విద్యాతీర్థమహేశ్వరం. దట్ ఈస్ ది ప్రేయర్ ఫర్ పంచదశి. నౌ ఐ రిమెంబర్డ్. So for Pancadasi, normal prayer, that is for Shankara's works. For Vidyaranya's work, the prayer which I have just now said, Yasya Nishvasitam Vedaha, like that. Suddenly it came to my mind. It's all right. గంధర్వపత్తనే కించిత్ నైంద్రజాలిక నిర్మితం జానం కామయతే కింతు జిహాసతి హసన్నిదం. The topic of Jagat Mithya, the universe, the world is unreal. So the world is like Gandharva Pattanam. The word Pattana in Sanskrit is same as the word Pattanam in Telugu. Ta becomes a ta, na becomes a na. So it is a town. A town. Like Milpitas is a town. You can say Milpitas Pattane, Vayam Pancadashim Patamaha, like that you can say. In Milpitas town we are studying Pancadashi. So that is the Pattana. The Vedantins, they have their own version of a town. It is called Gandharva Pattanam. So I don't know whether you have come across that. So what happens is, it is a collective hallucination. This Gandharva Pattanam. And collective hallucination is not such a rare thing, you know, it is a very common thing, you know. So the entire town is hallucinating, entire town. In Hindi there is an expression. You see, there is a village and the entire drinking water of the village comes from one well. Okay, all people draw from that well. Now somebody mixed an intoxicant in that well. Next day morning the entire village is intoxicated. they are all blabbering nonsense because they all drank that water and became intoxicated. That is what we are. That is the example, okay? So all the people are intoxicated. It means they are all imagining and they are caught in their own imagination, and what they say, what they do and what they think is all falsehood. That is the meaning of the world. That is how the world is. Therefore, our sighting, not only I see the world, so many other people also see the world. Now you know, it is like in that village, one person says, not only I am saying blabbering, everybody else is also blabbering, therefore the blabbering must be true. It is not true, it is wrong. Okay. Similarly, this collective hallucination, this is done by the hypnotist, a magician, he says, Indrajalika Nirmitam. Indrajala. Indrajala means the magic show. Okay? That is the name of that is the meaning. You may not want to say Indrasya Jalaha, Jalahar, Jalam, whatever, Pullinga, Napusikalinga. So Jala is a net, fisherman's net. And Indra is the Lord Indra, the god of rains. So you may not want to break it like that. It is not that kind of a Shashti Tatpurusha, Samasa. The entire word means one thing, magic show. There is no fisherman's net there, there is no god of rains, etc. It is not like that. The compound word means magic show. These magic shows were there in India, India seems to be one place where the magic was practiced in those days. And Kerala seems to be the place where all kinds of magic tricks were shown. And the world famous rope trick came from Kerala. And Shankara discusses this rope trick in Mandukya Bhashya, Agama Prakaranam. He vividly describes the rope trick. And then this hypnotist, he comes and all the people assemble. I think it is during the night time it is done. After dinner, the villagers or the town people, they assemble and the hypnotist sits on a stage and then asks all these people to look at the sky. And they see the sky. And suddenly, there may be some stray clouds here and there in this sky. Need not be rainy season, but even otherwise a few clouds are hanging around, And so he asks them, he draws their attention to the clouds. And then they will be looking at the clouds. You look at those clouds, are you looking at these clouds? They say, yeah, we are looking. Don't you see there starts a compound wall? Then they will say a compound wall in the clouds. And the walled city, so town is a walled town it is. Yeah, now you see. Now could you clearly distinguish the compound wall going round and round and round and coming this side and encircling the whole thing? Yeah, we see. They see that in the clouds. Then you see carefully, do you see buildings and all that? Yes, we see buildings. And then don't you see the King's Way, the big main thoroughfare, and then other streets? Yeah, we see them. And then you see people going around. Yes, we see them. Then don't you see the marketplace, very busy, lot of hustle and bustle of the marketplace? People see that. And then the jewelers' shops are there in one area. All are jewelers' shops. Don't you see? Yes, we see. Don't you see the jewels in those shops, shop after shop? They see. This is what the world is. That is what we are doing. So, in this world is no different from that Gandharva Pattanam, the town that you manage to see in the clouds. There is no town there. There are clouds, no town. But you manage to see a town in those clouds. Are you able to follow what I am saying? Shall I give you an example? You should not mind, okay? And you should keep an open mind also. People sit here. These are the Tyagis, you know. I told the Tyagi. They sit here. And then they start imagining about India. They imagine about India. Do you know India? Yeah, we know. In India, there are multiple religions. Yes. Now there is a fight going on there. Yeah, going on. Do you see the fight going on? Yes, yes, we see the fight going on. And then in that fight, our co-religionists are on the back foot. Don't you see that? See that now. You carefully see. Yeah, we see that. Now the co-religionists are on the back foot, and other religious people are doing some mischief. Don't you see that? You see or not? Do you see or not? See, now it is our duty to protect our co-religionists. Is it? Don't you see that? Yes, we see that also. You see pretty much anything. Now you land in Bombay airport. You know what do you see in Bombay airport the moment you land? You don't see any of this. You see a lot of dust and fog, and the electric bulbs trying to pierce through that dust and fog. That is what you see the moment you land in Bombay. Did you see that? You don't see the earlier description. You see a lot of dust. There are bulbs. They are struggling to illuminate the whole area, the airport area, and you can clearly see that these bulbs are throwing light. The light is struggling as pencils of light are struggling to pierce through the hanging dust and fog and all that. Because Bombay is a very dusty town, and the airport is not an exception. Now, Delhi, should I tell you? Delhi, the flight may not get permission to land even. It has to go elsewhere. Delhi is a gas chamber. Bombay is not yet. So that is what you see. You don't see the earlier description I gave you. But here you sit and imagine all that. Did I give any example? The point is, I am not trying to say anything about India. I am trying to give you an example so that you can understand what I am trying to say. You got the point? The point I am trying to say is what you see while sitting here, what you see about India. Somebody asks you to see that way. That is in the example, that is the hypnotist. And he asks you to see that way. He shows you that way, and you see that way from here. And you come to India, that is not the India, it's a different India. You come out of the airport, you will see a mass of humanity milling around. Everybody is struggling to make a living. They are very busy people. They don't have time for all your imaginations which you sit here, sitting in a valley. It's a Bay Area, and imagine that it doesn't work like that there. It's a different world. What you see here, as shown by a hypnotist or by an ideologue, the ideologue plays the role of a hypnotist. And what is there on the ground, they are two different things. There is no connection. Would you get the example? Is the example irreverential? Do you feel bad about the example? No. Please don't feel bad about it. Because what I am trying to say is, the propaganda is not the truth. That is what I am saying to say. So people come from there to here and give a picture of India back, back in India. They give a picture. Under that picture, they may be sincere about it, but the sincere person's worldview is mithya. That is the lesson. We are not saying the insincere person's worldview is unreal. We are saying sincere people's worldview only is unreal. I gave some example, and India doesn't work on those lines. what we sit here and imagine. It has its own dynamic, an entirely different dynamic. Therefore, it is the point that I am trying to make is, you see, having given the example, I am now apologetic about the example. The point that I am trying to make is, people get a collective illusory thinking. The entire society can be pushed into an illusion. And now, to support your illusion, you give an example of all your neighbors. You see, not only I am seeing that way, all my colleagues are also seeing that way. That doesn't make your world view real. There is a proverb for this, chor ka gawahi chor. That is how they say. Therefore, your friends and colleagues and your family members have a world view that coincides with your world view. That doesn't prove anything, okay? Your world view is false and it is born of ignorance. The world that you perceive or you experience is not out there. It is between these 2 points. It is here, the world that you perceive. Ramana Maharshi used to say, what you call the world is but your conception of the world. That is what it is. So, the world appears in consciousness, right? You wake up. Wake up means the waking consciousness is on. And the world appears in that consciousness, right? And now, what is this consciousness? You can give an example, like the world appears in the daylight, right? The daylight is there and the world appears. Without daylight, the world doesn't appear. So, the consciousness is like the daylight. And what the world appears in the daylight is like the world that you perceive and experience in the waking consciousness. Okay? Now, what is the daylight? What is the daylight? The world that you see in the daylight is multiple, right? And variegated. Multiple means many, many, many. Variegated means variety, variety, variety. Okay? Tree, you see many trees. Animals, you see many animals. Birds, you see many birds. So like that it is multiple and variegated. You can combine and say multifarious. That is the world. That is the world you see in the daylight. Right? In darkness you don't see the multifarious world. Only in daylight you see the multifarious world. You understand it in the right spirit, okay? No, we put the light on and don't say like that, okay? The example is just you have to understand it the right way. Under this daylight in which you see the multifarious world, what is the origin of the daylight? The sunlight. The sunlight. You never see sunlight. Do you know that? You never see sunlight. The sunlight, as it is intercepted by the atmosphere, comes out as daylight, and in that daylight you see the world. The world of multiple objects. That is how the seeing happens. So I am repeating, the sunlight, which you never ever see, you never ever see the sunlight. The sunlight, as it is intercepted by the atmosphere, it appears as daylight in which you see the multifarious world. Okay? Now, that is the illustration. Now come within. So, but before coming within, let me say, what you call daylight is the light which illuminates the known world. Okay? So what you call the world is that which is known in the daylight. Okay? That which is known in the daylight. And this daylight, which is the collection of the known. Daylight is the collection of the known, collection or collective of the known, is created or is put in place by the sunlight which is infinite. Okay? the daylight and its content. The content of the daylight is this world, the multifarious world, and the daylight. They are finite. Daylight is finite and its content is finite. But the sunlight, which has caused this daylight, is infinite. You follow that example? Therefore, infinite sunlight, limited daylight, which includes the known world. That is the illustration. Now apply it to yourself. What you call the world is that which appears in consciousness, which is the waking consciousness. The waking consciousness. And the world is the collective of the known. What is waking consciousness? The waking consciousness is its content. That is what the waking consciousness is. You look at yourself, you are a conscious being, and what is that consciousness? The waking consciousness. And what is this waking consciousness? Its content. The content of the waking consciousness, which you call the world. Okay, again, multifarious world. And this waking consciousness, where from it has come? What is the origin of this waking consciousness? The infinite awareness called Atma, as it is intercepted by the mind, appears as the waking consciousness in which the world appears. Okay? Now I can tell you what you call the world is the content of the waking consciousness. That is the world. There is no other world. The content of the waking consciousness. What you say I know is in the waking consciousness. What you say I don't know also is in the waking consciousness, you know. You know that much to say that I don't know. You know that much. Even to say I don't know, you should know something. Therefore, what you call the known, including the unknown, all of it is the content of the waking consciousness. And this waking consciousness is put in place by the infinite awareness absolute, which is the Atma, as it reflects in the mind. I need to take a breath. Therefore, I can say like this, the world appears in consciousness. And the consciousness is the totality of the known. That is what the consciousness is. Okay? The totality of the known. And this totality of the known has its origin in the immensity of the unknown, which is Atma. Atma is unknown. Not only unknown, unknowable. You cannot know the Atma, like you cannot see the sunlight. You cannot see the sunlight. You cannot even see the daylight. You can only see things in the daylight. Okay? Therefore, the consciousness, the waking consciousness, and the world. What is the world? The content of the waking consciousness. Therefore, the waking consciousness, when I say consciousness, it means the waking consciousness only. The consciousness and the world, they appear together and disappear together. Like the sun rises, sunlight becomes daylight as it reflects in the atmosphere and you see the world. The sun sets, the daylight is no more and so you don't see the world. That is what is happening in the waking consciousness. Now, the world begins with the waking consciousness. I mean, when the waking consciousness begins, that is when the world begins. And the world ends when the waking consciousness ends. Okay? After that you followed? You don't have a problem, I suppose. Now comes a law. Now I shift from Vedanta to quantum physics. You have to catch it. You see, what begins and ends It can be like Newton's laws of motion. I can put it in the form of laws. Number one, whatever begins necessarily ends. That is law number one. Okay. Law number two, whatever begins and therefore ends, is unreal, a mere appearance. That is the law number two. Okay. Law number three, the mere appearance, meaning the one which begins and ends, is momentary. That is the law number three. This is Buddhist philosophy, Kshanika Vijnanavada. Okay? Even Mandukya also. Mandukya is all Buddhism only, Kshanika Vijnanavada only, most of it. So, Adavante cha yannasti vartamane pi tatha. So like that it continues. Therefore, the world that you experience, just to summarize, the world that you experience, seer experience, one and the same, is the content of the waking consciousness, and hence it begins and ends. Therefore, it is a mere appearance, not real. And also, it is momentary. Kshanika Vijnana Adaha. You may wonder, instead of teaching Advaita Vedanta, why are you teaching Kshanika Vijnanavada? Advaita Vedanta is Kshanika Vijnanavada only. As far as the world is concerned, it is just the same, no difference. So, we talk of a sunlight, they don't talk of that sunlight. That is the only difference. Okay? Therefore, about the world you can say, the world can be said to appear. You can say the world appears. You can say. You cannot say the world is. You should not say that. Some of this language which people use, people means who are the people, not the people on the road, you know. Do they talk about appearance, real, unreal, all those things? They don't talk. We who claim ourselves to be Vedantins, the Gurus, the Acharyas, they use this language, real and unreal. Okay? So they say the world exists, wrong. The moment you say the world exists, it is wrong. It is like saying the serpent exists. Now you should not say the serpent exists. Arey, thoda to soch lo bhai. You should not say the serpent exists. You should use the language which you need not correct later. Right? You say things and then you have to take back what you said. Better not to say such things. So you don't say serpent exists. You say serpent appears. It doesn't exist. It appears. Therefore, you say correctly. But what the people do, they say the world exists. And then having said the wrong statement, now they have to go round and round and round beating the bush. Neither you cannot substantiate what you said, nor you cannot entirely give it up. Oh, I said wrong. So now you are caught in a self-defeating exercise of semantics. You know what I mean? Therefore, I don't say the world exists. Suppose you say the world exists, then you have to add the world doesn't independently exist. Now, why do you say now you add what do you mean by that? First you say exists, and now you say independently it doesn't exist. Iska matlab kya hota hai? It only shows that you are playing with the words without any connection to the reality. You are just playing with the words. It doesn't independently exist. If it doesn't independently exist, then why did you say it exists in the first place? Therefore, you be clear. The world appears. You go to the movie. Do you say the movie exists? The scenes exist? Scenes do not exist. The scenes appear. The world appears. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist independently, it doesn't exist dependently also. It simply doesn't exist. It just appears. So, you say the glow is, I love you appears. You have to say that. The glow is, I love you is. The I love you is independently, I love you is independent. Why you get caught in this kind of self-defeating expressions? Be very clear. You see, you should have a simple, innocent heart to know the truth. When you are very clever, you will never know the truth, I tell you. Very clever, very scholastic, the truth is gone. It becomes a casualty. Therefore, now it is very clear, the glow exists. I love you appears. Very clear. Now we come to a few other aspects. I love you appears. But it begins, now it appears. Earlier, I love you appears now? No. Now it appears. Means it begins.
Turned off.
It is turned off. So now it begins. I love you begins. It ends also. When it will end? When the rotation stops, it will end. When the rotation stops, after some time it stops. You cannot go on rotating. Okay? No, this hand strength, that is not the point. Even the rotation, as it begins, it must end up. Why it should end? No, I will rotate it infinitely. You will not be able to rotate infinitely. Because it is not about your willing to rotate and all that. The law of nature works there. The law, the physics law. What is the law? Whatever begins must end. For example, the wave begins, ends. Okay, you agree with that.
Yeah.
The wave begins, ends, you readily agree. The necklace begins and ends, now you don't agree, I tell you. Now you find it difficult to agree. The necklace begins, you should agree to that, right? The necklace begins and ends. The moon begins and ends. The moon came out of the earth one day and it will end one day. The earth began, so it ends. The sun began and therefore ends. The universe began, therefore ends. That is the second law, or first law, or second law, whatever name. Therefore, the world appearance, it began, therefore it must end. Up to this child's play, up to this. Now comes the critical thing. And so that we have to carefully understand. I am not exhorting you, I am exhorting myself. You have to carefully understand means I have to carefully explain it. That is the meaning of it. So, you see, the third law is the law of quantum physics. The third law or second law, whatever the number. Whatever begins and therefore ends and therefore an appearance is momentary. Is momentary. You go to the movie and you see the movie. You get the impression that the movie is 2.5 years long, 2.5 hours long. That is the impression you get. In India, we need to have some long movies. If they are short movies, they will fail at the box office. You know why? पैसा देते हैं वसूल करना पड़ता है. When we give money, we have to collect it. Therefore, they must be long. Any movie which is less than 2.5 hours will fail. Fail at the box office. Whereas in Hollywood, the movies are short, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. If it is longer, they will fail. I suppose so. There are a few long movies here and a few short movies. They are general psychology. Therefore, the movie is 2.5 hours long. That is the impression we get. Now, is it 2.5 hours long, that movie, or is it momentary? You have to think about it. This is simple physics, pure physics it is. And so how the movie happens? Thomas Alva Edison discovered the movie camera. The concept of movie was discovered by Thomas Alva Edison. You know how he discovered? He got some 100 cards, separate cards, as a bunch of cards. He got a bunch. Like I now have a bunch of cards. This is a bunch of cards. On each card, a sketch, a simple line sketch, of a dancing girl is drawn. This is a dancing girl, this is the same dancing girl, same dancing girl, same like that cards. Only thing is, the pose, it gradually changes. In this card, the dancing girl is like this. In the next card, the dancing girl is like this. The next card, the dancing girl is like this. Like that, the gradation. Okay? Now he took 100 cards like that and put them in a bunch. And then he saw like that. He saw a dance. A lady dancing. That is what he saw. That is the discovery of the movie camera. Okay? Movie. You got the point? So in the movie you see, when you see like this, it is a static figure. Again this, a static figure. This, a static figure. No movement anywhere. But you give a movement to this, then you see dance. Okay? So that became movie. The static figures became a movie. Okay? M-O-V-I-E. That which moves. In fact, frankly speaking, where is this movement you have to understand. You go to the movie theatre and on the screen you are watching the movie. So what is going on the screen? Shall I tell you what is going on the screen? There is one film, one frame. Yeah, thank you. One frame was projected there. One frame. And in that frame the lady is standing like this. It is a static frame it is. And that is projected and gone. And then blank. The screen becomes blank. Completely dark. And then next frame is projected. Again the lady. And again it becomes blank. Again third frame becomes blank. Fourth frame becomes blank. Like that 16 frames are projected per second. Means with all these frames, how can you project 16 of them in a second? So you have to connect all of them. You connect them mechanically and make a round and put the round to a wheel and rotate the wheel. And now the light is passing through those frames and the light falls on the screen. This is how, by rotating that film at a particular speed, you manage to project 16 frames per second on the screen. 16. When you say 16 frames, 16 blank spaces also will be there. Between one frame and the successive frame, there is blankness. Now you see. What you see? Do you see 16 frames static intercepted by blank spaces, blankness? Is that what you see? No, you don't see that. Then what you see? You see a dance going on there. What is called continuous. You see continuous. Is there anything continuous on the screen? No continuous. One fraction of a second, a frame comes and goes, blank comes and goes, frame comes and goes. That is what is happening. There is nothing continuous there. But you see continuous scene. Now, how do you see? That is not what is there. That is not what is there on the screen. But you end up seeing what is not there on the screen. How do you do that? So, that is what is called a trick played by the eyesight and mind together. Therefore, now you tell me you are seeing the scenes. They are moving. Continuous. Moving means continuous. Where is this continuous? On the screen or in your head? It is in your head. Okay? On the screen, there is nothing continuous. In this creation, there is nothing continuous. Nothing. A thing called continuity is a myth. This is quantum physics. Okay? It is all quanta. Discrete bundles. There is no continuity. That is quantum physics. The light, the pencil of light, like the light from there, it is coming and falling on this paper. It seems continuous. You look at it. It is continuous. It is not continuous. The photons, which are bundles of energy, each photon is a bundle. And so that bundle after bundle, they are coming. Like ants coming. And these bundles are called quantum. And the plural is quanta. And therefore it's a quantum physics. Therefore, according to physics, there is nothing continuous in this creation. But then, who told this? There is nothing continuous in this creation. It is all momentary. Who told that? Before physicists could ever think of it, the Indian Buddhists told that. Not even Vedantins. All the glory goes to the Buddhists. In fact, they even talked of frequency. The frames which are momentary, nothing continuous, per second this many, that is the frequency. The word frequency is used by Buddhists. They were the first people. Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, Dingnaga, like that there are a few scholars. They talked of discontinuity as the fact of this universe. It is kshanika, there is nothing continuous about it, because the difference between continuous versus discontinuous is the difference between truth versus falsehood. That difference translates as real versus unreal. Because what is real is taken as continuous. Whatever is continuous is real. Real is continuous. There is nothing continuous in this world. That's why they called it kshanika vijnana vada. Vijnana is consciousness. There is no world outside consciousness. And that world which is the content of consciousness is also not continuous. It is momentary. This is the world. Okay? It sounds like a very like philosophy, but this is life. It sounds like physics, but this is life. It is neither philosophy nor physics. It is life. You may say it is philosophy, nothing wrong in it. You may say it is physics also, but you should understand that it is life. Now, whether you understand this or not, that is the point. If you understand life as false as a movie on the screen, momentary, it is not continuous. It is your memory that makes it appear as continuous. If you understand this much, the world, the life is momentary, not continuous. The mind is playing a trick with you, and it makes you feel continuous, and you are caught in that continuity. You know what is meant by getting caught in continuity? Caught in continuity is same as caught in time. When continuity is a myth, time becomes a myth. Where from this idea of continuity came? It came from the mind. And therefore, time is a mental category. Time is a mental category. Time is what mind projects. Okay? Therefore, all this you understand. Gandharva Pattane, in this town that you see in the clouds, Kinchit, whatever object you see, in the town many objects are there, you know, whatever object you see, Aindrajalika Nirmitam, you are able to see that town and those objects in the clouds in the first place only because of the hypnosis caused by this hypnotist. Aindrajalika Nirmitam. Okay? You see, they are selling you an idea. You should understand. They are not selling you an object. They are selling you an idea. Someone tried to sell me a pot this much, small pot. Someone tried to sell it to me. It costs $1,000. And there is a crack also. A broken pot, $1,000? Yeah, it is antique pot, it is. Antique? Yeah, Byzantine kingdom, when in Palestine, there was Byzantine kingdom, that is 1100 AD or whatever. Those Byzantine kings used this pot. You should thank me for giving it for $1,000, you know. Because the pot was used by Byzantine kings. Now what is he selling me? He is selling me a thing or an idea. He is selling an idea. That is what these merchants do. They sell you an idea. Huh? Shall I give you one more example? Huh? Shall I give? But you should not feel bad about it. You see, back in India, I am going to conduct a big yaga, and all of you should give me $500 each. What is that? I am selling an idea. And you fall for it. That is the funny part of it. You are supposed to be very intelligent and all that Silicon Valley, but they fall for this. The monstrosity of ignorance is like that, I tell you. The amount of confusion and suffering the ignorance causes has no end. You see, giving money is not the point, you know. The point is you fall for all that. That is the point. Just selling an idea. That's why I told you, don't ask me for an example. If I give an example, you will not feel good about it. Because this is a very tricky world it is. It's a very funny world. Nothing is real in it. So all the tamasha goes on. So kinchit, you see something there. It is not there. You see, it is not there. It is made to appear by this hypnotist. Aindrajalika Nirmitam. You see that. Now, you know all of that is false. This person showed me the pot, Byzantine kingdom. I knew that all of this is a dream. There is no reality to that. You see, in India, we never had anything called biography till recently. You don't find biographies. There is no biography of Kalidasa, there is no biography of Valmiki, no biography of Vyasa, no say Katha Rishi, any Rishi. Did you ever hear any biography? We don't even know their parents, where they were born. These biographical details were not there. Because they knew it is a momentary world. What biography you are talking about? You see, someone took a stylus and started writing in the biography. You know where he was writing his biography? He was standing waist deep in a flowing water, and he is writing his biography on that flowing water. What happens to that biography? This is what biography writing is. Recently it started. So, there are biographies which are very inspiring. Because I started the topic, I am saying it is a digression, I know that. But having said it, let me complete it. So, there is a biography which inspires. And therefore, it is not about the person's day-to-day life. It is about a vision that the person represents. That kind of a biography is something amazing. Like, I have read the biography of Bhagavan Buddha by a Vietnam Buddhist author, very famous, Nan Thich, something like that. The name of the biography is Old Path, White Clouds. Bhagavan Buddha's biography, very inspiring. It is all the vision, not so much about the Buddha's personality. And then I have read a biography in English, Swami Onkar from Andhra Pradesh, his biography, very inspiring. But then we come across biographies which are not connected with any vision, which are connected with a personality. And what is the personality? Is it not false? Is it not the figment of imagination? And now this chimera, the personality which is a chimera, you create a biography about it? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, the world you perceive is entirely private. It's a private world. Another point I am coming to. But this point, the world that you perceive, it is not continuous. It lasts but for a moment. You see, you see I love you. You see I love you. You see I love you only when it is moving. If it suddenly stops moving, you neither say I nor L nor O, you don't see anything. Means many frames are being perceived by you as it is rotating, and in every single frame there is only glow but nothing else. Glow and no glow, glow, no glow, glow, no glow. And then the mind, based on memory is the movement, earlier frame, that is the memory. The memory, which is the succession of events, is called memory. That memory, together with the eyesight, plays the trick of seeing something which is there. Here nothing is there. Here except glow, there is nothing. Only glow is there. But all you see, other than glow, the very funny thing is you don't see glow. You see only I love you, right? You don't see the glow. You see sentence, words, and letters, and the meaning. Oh, Swamiji is giving a very good message. What message? Am I giving you I love you? It's a good message, all right. But very sacred. You see sacred also. Very, very sacred message. You can imagine anything you want. There is nothing there except glow. All of that is a projection. That's why it is called projection. That's why in the movie theatre, that machine which throws the movie on the screen, what is it called? Projector. The best name it is, most scientific name. It is a projector. And that is a movie, very correct names. This is the projector. And the world you see. Okay? Therefore, the world is momentary. It lasts but for a moment. It is your memory that makes you think that the world continues. Okay? Shall I build upon this idea a little more? Suppose you are watching a movie and the sense of continuity will be there. The hero, the heroine, they went there and now they are dancing here. Like that continuity will be there. Because you are watching from very beginning. From the very beginning. Somebody came late. Okay? And while the dance is going on, he suddenly entered. And he came and sat besides me. I am watching it. And he asked me, hey, who is that? He doesn't know. He sees what I see. He sees exactly what I see. But he doesn't know what I know. Why? Because the memory input he doesn't have. That is, I have the memory input. Now we are seeing the same, but we are not seeing the same. You got it? Why? So that means in the absence of memory, what the person sees, and coupled with memory, what I see, they are two different things. And what is there is there. But coupled with memory, I see something else. Entirely a projection. The person is sleeping, okay? He is not a person. There is nothing like a house. There is nothing like wife and children and all that. Now he wakes up and sees my house, my wife. If not wife, husband, okay? So my children, he sees. Are they the house, the wife and the children, are they continuous or are they momentary? They are momentary. They are made to appear continuous by the memory. They are momentary. They are not continuous. They are momentary. Therefore, what mind makes is, it creates and recreates the world that you live in moment by moment. And you imagine all of that to be real. And some of these movie directors, they are very intelligent. I am amazed at their that intellectual acumen. What they understood that it is the memory which gives this sense of continuity to life, and they play on that. And what they do, the hero is, this is India's language, okay? Here they don't use hero, I don't know why. They say leading actor. What silly name it is? Hero. It must be hero. Okay, hero, heroine, villain. Now you have the right nomenclature. So the hero is going in the car. Generally, in our movies, the hero is well-to-do, well-dressed, and costly dresses, and living in a big bungalow, and a car, and heroine is very well-dressed and lot of jewelry. This is how all our movies are. You know that? You know what it means? What it means is, we are poor people, you know. We don't know any of that, really. We don't know any of that. When I look back, I liked the color that was coming newly in those days. We were kids in the Gurukulam, studying Vedam and Sanskrit. Other than that, we don't know anything about world. We were the dullest and dumbest people. Except the Veda and that we were reciting, Sanskrit we knew very well, only that much. That's why we ended up like this also. So, therefore, we used to go to the Telugu movies, which were black and white. Suddenly, color came. In Hindi, it came first. First comes to Bombay, then comes to Chennai in those days. And color movies. So we used to go to Hindi movies. Don't know any Hindi, but we used to go to Hindi movies because there the hero, heroine, their building, etc., they look more colorful, you know. We were living in some dungeon, and so when you have to see a movie, better see a better one. So it is a projection of an inferior mind. The society is like that. Anyway, coming to the point, so we were the hero. So it is the life that we live is so created and recreated moment by moment. Therefore, the director knows it. The cinema director, the movie director knows it. That's why the hero is going in the car. He drives the car. And his wife is sitting and his children are there. And he goes. And suddenly, the car hits an electric pole. And then that is the scene. It ends. And now the entire scene is next frame transported to a hospital. On the hospital bed, the hero is lying down. There is one bandage here. And one red spot here. That is the accident. That is the accident, nothing more. because we don't want to compromise the hero. He has to get up and dance and all that, you know. Only this much. And then everybody is very grumpy and very, very serious all around, wife, children, everybody is sad. Except the hero who got an injury in the head. Then parents, all people. Now he looks around and says, he asks the wife, who are you? And the children, he says, they're very nice kids, they are looking good. Whose kids they are? Everybody was stunned. Now what happened there? The same thing, you know, but memory is not there. Now memory, suppose you tell me that the memory of 1 year's, the memory of last year something happened, the memory of the last year happening, is it 1 year long memory or is it momentary memory? Are momentary appa, it is not 1 year long. Just because I remembered my childhood, the memory is not 40 years long, okay? It is momentary. The entire blessed thing is momentary. Therefore, the world is but momentary. And all glory to those philosophers of Kshanika Vijnanavada who have understood it. So by understanding it, that the world is momentary, do you lose your house? Suppose you are living in a big bungalow. Do you lose it? You don't lose it. Nobody will take away. Your bank account, nobody will take away. Your family, wife, children, husband, all these things, nobody will take away. Who will take away? Who wants all these things? So, you keep them. Nobody wants them. Okay? Therefore, don't get concerned on that account. That is the point I am making. If it's all momentary, all unreal, what will happen to my bank? Don't worry. Your bank account will be yours only. Okay? Nobody wants it. Nobody can take it also. Therefore, you keep what you have. That is not the point. The point is, what you think you have, is it real? That is the point. Suppose you are facing some calamity or some distress in life, suppose. It is there in everybody's life. Nobody is an exception. The samsara is very painful to all, without exception. It was painful to Rama, Krishna, Christ, Mahavira, Buddha. Who are we? So, but when you are going through some difficult context or period, you have to understand that is not real. It is not real. There is a name for it. The context through which you are passing through, that part of life in which you are going through, there is a name for it. It is called the immediate. The immediate. Got it? So for example, I am in the Bay Area teaching classes, so everything is going on very well, and the food was very good, and I am enjoying wonderful things, and some inconvenience with the throat or this, that. This is the immediate. This is my immediate. Every one of you have your own immediate. This immediate, that is an expression, okay? Quote. You can call it as your world. Your immediate is your world. The next person's immediate is that person's world. No two immediates coincide. The wife's immediate is different, the husband's immediate is different. Right? Suppose wife is a homemaker, then her immediate is her vessels and her groceries and her children and what all occupies her consciousness. The husband, his office, his promotion, his boss, his whatever, that is his immediate. They don't coincide. They live together all right, but the immediates don't coincide. In some areas there may be some overlap, Set A versus set B, some 10% overlap is there. Okay? They don't coincide. Therefore, what you call the world is the immediate, and it is entirely private. Therefore, there is nothing nothing collective. That's why I said in the example, you sit here and think about what is going on in India. It is all your imagination. because there is nothing called collective. Collective is your imagination. Continuous is your imagination. Collective is your imagination. So there is only you and the immediate in which you are caught, the private world, and that is unreal. Sir, this is philosophy. I like to remind you, this is philosophy. This is not some storytelling or some ritualism. I do this ritual, you will get that. It is not that. It is not, oh, some Rishi was there, he did this and he got that, and that person did that puja and he got children. It is not that kind of story. It is not storytelling, it is not personality development. It is a pure philosophy. Now you have to decide whether you are interested in it or not. Therefore, the world that you call your world is entirely private. It is entirely private. And it is a dream. And you know that, suppose, the immediate. You know that. Now you need not curse the Bay Area, okay? Bay Area is, there is no Bay Area except in your head, okay? There is Prithvi, Apaha, that is all that is there. Bay Area is in your head. What is Bay? Bay, is it a physical entity or is it a conceptual entity? Please tell me. So, therefore, that immediate, which you call the world, you give it a big name to it, the world. You see, we people are like that anecdotal lady, an old woman in a village. She became angry with all the villagers. A small community, she became angry with all of them. And she owns one chick, you know, chick. It wakes up at 4:30 and gives a sound, you know. That is what, do they call it a chick? Roaster. She got a roaster. And so the rooster wakes up at 4:30 and says, "Ko ko ko ko," he says. And everybody in the village now knows that it is about to become, the sun is about to rise. Now what happened is she became angry with community people. She said she has a few belongings, all of them fit into one bag. That is her life, you know. She puts all of them into the bag and she take her roaster and put here. You are all undeserving people, you are ungrateful. I don't like any one of you, I am going away. Tomorrow morning the rooster will not be there to say "Koko Koko" and there will be no sunrise. You suffer. And she walks away. It is like that. We people are no better than that lady, I tell you. Really. No Bay Area, Silicon Valley, it is no economy looking up. It is looking down. You are just imagining, sir. You are just imagining. You are living in a pipe dream, you know. That is what it is. So the blessed thing is entirely unreal. You understand? It is momentary and unreal. It is not even continuous. Maybe unreal, but if it is continuous, at least we can live with it. It is not even that. And so when you go through some difficult time or distress or whatever, you understand the immediate in which you are living. It is private. What I mean is, it has nothing to do with other people. You need not comply and, oh, my wife, because of my wife, my life is not going well. Come on. That is how we live. Very unfortunate. And then the monstrosity of ignorance has no end. People believe that his immediate is influenced by the stars. The guy doesn't even know how many stars are there. If you read a little astronomy, you will know. So, therefore, the stars, the planets have nothing to do with your immediate. Your wife, your children also do not have anything to do with your immediate. The society has nothing to do with your immediate. Either here or back in India or wherever. Your immediate is entirely a projection of your mind. It is momentary. It is dreamlike. It is a dream. And you understand that and be done with it. Then what happens, you know, what he is saying is Janan. He knows that. So we are looking at the town in the clouds. a marketplace inside the town, and one jewelry shop, and one costly, very lustrous jewel you are looking at. Would you like to possess that jewel? Would you like to possess? If you don't know that it is all false, it is all a show, not real, then you may want to possess it. Right? But you know, it is all a silly thing it is. There is nothing there. It is all unreal, an appearance. Then even if the jewel is very lustrous, you don't want to possess it. Or in the town some new car is going on. You want to possess that car? No, you don't want to possess it. Because the blessed thing is not real. Janan, one who knows, na kamayate. He doesn't desire. Means what? The 1 hour description. I took 1 hour to say that the world is unreal. It is a false appearance. It has only one purpose. We do not hate the world. Who are we to hate it? There is nothing to hate. It is unreal. What is there to hate? Some people say, I hate this movie. Why should you hate a movie? There is nothing there. So the world is like that. There is nothing to hate in it. Nothing to love in it. Okay? So it is not about love-hate. It is about, are you desiring things of such a world? Every time you desire a thing of this world, you are psychologically depending upon an unreal chimera, a falsehood. Thereby you hurt yourself. But you know it is unreal, then the entire desiring vanishes. Na kamayate. You don't want to desire anything now. Kintu, on the other hand, jihasati hasannidam. You want to give up. You want to give up. Suppose there are so many things in my bag. I don't want to keep all those things with me. I want to give. And while giving, I give happily. Hasan. In fact, I don't give. I give up. There is a big difference between give and give up. Give means you are seeking punyam, this and that, some good name and all that. In giving up, there is no such thing. Just give up. And with a smile on the face, hasan jihasati. And suppose you cannot give up immediately. You have to find somebody who takes it, you know. Till then, you hold on to it only to give it up. Jihasati. Jihasati means sannanta, ohak tyage, chittum ichhati. So he wants to give up. There is nothing to hold on to. Wants to give up. But then till you get an occasion to give up, you hold on to it. And once you hold on to it, and now the context has come, you give it up. That is the meaning of world is unreal. Jagat Mithya is not some semantics, it is not some armchair philosophy. That Jagat Mithya, not like that. It is what you understand deeply within, and it impacts your interaction with the world, the way you look at the world, and the way you conduct yourself in this silly world. It changes your entire outlook. And this is Vedanta. Vedanta is this. Not some accumulation of ideas and facts and figures in the head. So, anyway, we have covered a beautiful verse. Now I spend a few minutes in answering a few questions, and then we will discuss. Can we say that being Brahman is a sensation of the mind residing in total freedom, peace and harmony? If so, is that also transient? Aham Brahmasmi. Is it an idea in the mind, or is it the fact of yourself? That is the question. Okay? You see, I ask you, I am a human being. I am a human being. Okay? I am saying human being. Some people are so caste conscious, they identify with the caste totally, caste or creed or whatever. Now, I am a human being. Is it an idea in you, or is it your existence from which the mind comes? You have to think about it. Okay? The mind is not there all the time. The mind comes and goes. Mind is thought. Thought comes and goes, right? Now, there is a gap between thoughts also. Two successive thoughts, there is a gap. And in that gap, when the mind is not functioning, in that gap, do you exist or not?
Yes.
You exist, right? So, if you want to confirm, if you want proof, there is no outside proof. Proof can only be you. You can only be the proof. What you do is, you sit upright and close the eyes and allow the thought to come to an end. Allow the thought movement end. Allow it to end. If you allow it, it will end. And then see what happens. Then you remain. You are. That being. What kind of being? The being that shines as the knowing. This is what is called the sense of being. Being is Sat, knowing is Chit. That is Sat-Chit. That is what remains. The Sat-Chit remains. When there is no mind. When there is no mind, Sat-Chit remains. In fact, mind originates from the Sat-Chit. It is like wave. When there is no wave, is there something or not? Something is there, water. Now that something, is it an object included in the wave? No. It is not something inside the wave. It is something which is beyond the wave, right? Similarly, when there is no mind, means when there are no thoughts, you remain. And you are the origin of thoughts. You are not an object of thoughts. You are the origin of thoughts. Okay? Thought, every thought has an object. Like you think of a pot. Pot is the object of thought. Suppose you think of the religion or the caste to which you belong. That is an object of thought. The caste with which you identify is an object of thought. First thought projects a caste and then you identify with it. Then the thought projects a religion, you identify with it. Thought projects a physical form, you identify with it. Thought projects a name, you identify with it. All of that is thought. But there is something prior to thought. Please hold on to that word, prior to thought. What is prior to thought? Which is also the origin of thought itself. That is Brahma. Okay? And when you are Brahman, you will not say Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. And the one who is saying Aham Brahmasmi, he doesn't know Brahman. So your Brahmanhood is not self-conscious Brahmanhood. Okay? Like, I am a Hindu. You are self-conscious about your being a Hindu. I am Brahman. No, it is not like that. Okay? When you are Brahman, you are not self-conscious. And when you are self-conscious, you are not what you truly are. When you are self-conscious, you are identifying with a particular. That particular can be caste, creed, race or religion. And it is a product of thought. So thought comes from you and projects something and you identify with that something. Thought coming from you is not the problem. Thought projecting something is also not the problem. You going and identifying with what thought projects is the problem. You should know yourself better. Because you don't know yourself properly, you go and identify with a silly thing that the thought projects. Therefore, Aham Brahmasmi is not a mental state. It's not a mental, in its true form, it's not a mental state. But in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a Mahavakya called Aham Brahmasmi. That is all mental. You quote Upanishad and give a lecture for 1 hour. All of that is mental. And in fact, in that mental movement, there is no Brahma at all. The word, there is the word Brahma is there. The word Brahma you utter 100 times, but there is no Brahma. You know why? Brahma, the word is not the thing. The word is not the thing. Like there is a song, very beautiful song. I have a croaking voice and I cannot sing well. I have not cultured my voice well. I will sing a song. If you want to join, you can join. So see, first hear, and if you feel like joining, you can join. Otherwise, you just watch this funny spectacle of me singing. So, kheer khayenge. Hindi song. Are you able to follow? Kheer khayenge. खीर में काजू है, किशमिश है, घी है, ये है, वो है. खीर खाएंगे. You want to join me in this song? I don't think so, right? Now, did I have any nutrition out of that song? This Aham Brahmasmi is like, there is nothing more to it. Okay? When you are a Brahman, you won't come back and tell Aham Brahmasmi. There's Sri Ramakrishna's salt dal. Won't come back and tell the depth of the ocean. Please tell, sir, to ask your question.
Yes, Swamiji, so today you talked about the world appears in the waking state as defined in the consciousness. According to Vedantic vision, the other states of consciousness, which is the dream state and the deep sleep, does that also belong to the consciousness?
Yeah, the world that appears in the dream, it is called the world of the dream consciousness. There is a thing called dream consciousness in which a dream world appears, and that is equally unreal. In fact, you know very well that it is unreal. And therefore that dream consciousness and the dream world are taken as illustrations for understanding the unreal nature of the waking consciousness and the waking world. Then there is the deep sleep, which is no consciousness. No consciousness. And therefore you are not a person that you imagine yourself to be in deep sleep. There is no world in deep sleep because there is no consciousness. That proves that the world is a child of consciousness. You cannot have world without consciousness. So just the waking consciousness flips over into no consciousness. Like you take a nap, cat nap. The waking consciousness flips over into no consciousness. The world vanishes. The world doesn't exist anymore. That proves the utter falsity of the world. You don't need any further proof than that.
And if I may, I have one more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Second one is, I remember Swamiji saying that there is, in the Vedantic vision, there is no beginning for time and there is no end for time. And similarly, I remember...
No, who said that? I said like that?
Maybe not, maybe I heard it through...
No, time begins and time ends, you know.
Okay. The universe, my understanding of this universe is born in the end.
Universal time also begins and it also ends.
Also
Yeah.
But there is transformation of energy and matter that constantly happens. And in that energy and the matter, E equal to mc squared, bringing science into the equation, is always there and always will be, is my understanding. Is that incorrect understanding then?
It is there after Big Bang, sir.
Right. Right. But
Not prior to Big Bang.
so prior to Big Bang, there is not even...
There is no matter and there is no energy. Prior to Big Bang, time was not there, space was not there, energy was not there, much less matter. Prior to Big Bang, they are all later to Big Bang. Therefore, as that primordial phylum explodes with a big bang, that is when time created and space also created. How time created? Expansion, the gaseous mass, it expands. Expansion is movement. Movement demands time. You cannot have movement without time. Therefore, as the expansion is happening, time is created. And in between, space is also created. Therefore, all these questions, why, where and when, do not apply to Big Bang. You cannot say when Big Bang. No, because there is no time yet. Where Big Bang? No, there is no space yet. Why Big Bang? No, because there is no cause-effect relationship yet. And even now, the world is a self-enclosed thing. It is, even according to modern physics, it is the space curves upon itself. The space curves upon itself. And within that self curving upon itself space, the entire universe is held. And you should not ask what is outside. There is no outside space, you know. You cannot have a thing called outside space, right? Only inside space, there is inside and there is outside. Therefore, these are the singularities, they call the singularity, in which these questions do not arise. Yeah. I just blabbered something. What I know is much less, and some of that physics one has to read more carefully. One more last and final question. Samatvam, equanimity, not getting affected by the ups and downs caused by prarabdha. It is enough to say ups and downs, that is enough. When you want to look at samatvam, why do you want causes and all that? You want to remain equanimous, means unimpacted by the up and by the down, right? Then should you know where from this up has come, where from this down has come. If you try to know that, then you will not remain unimpacted, you will be impacted. Therefore, there are ups and downs, they are momentary, they are unreal, and I remain equanimous. That is a better way. If you want to put in prarabdha into it, you may do it. But what happens is, you should not make it like noodles, you know. One noodle never comes. You draw one noodle, dozen noodles come. Therefore, you wanted to know equanimity, then up, down, prarabdha, earlier birth, later birth, and you add another 4 or 5 things, then the original equanimity idea is gone. So we don't want to do like that. We say equanimity. What is equanimity? There is up and there is down. Remain equanimous. Why? Because what you consider up is not up. What you consider down is not down. So why should you be disturbed by this unreal show? So remain equanimity. Guneshu vartante iti matva nasarjate. Like that, okay? How do we maintain our samatvam if the up and downs affect people we interact with? You are just imagining a lot now. What people are you talking about? So, no, it's okay. Sometimes the answer may sound a bit brusque. So you interact with, do you mean the people you interact with are the people to whom you are attached? That is where the trick is. You do not interact. If you interact, that won't affect your equanimity. You interact with hundreds of people in the airport or a railway station. You are attached. That is the problem. You are not interacting. You are psychologically dependent. So see that. See the psychological dependence and work on it. And see the falsity of it and overcome it. Then the equanimity becomes natural, spontaneous. You need not even practice it. It becomes second nature or the first nature, if you will. Om Purnamada.
Permission to speak. This reminds me a lot of physical sound. We want to from the in class.
Reading what?
Swami was teaching about the Pancadasi. I remember she was including this particular example, all the undergoes enjoy that.
Tomorrow evening you will bring.
Tomorrow morning you will.
Morning I may not be.
Okay, evening I will.
I always run out of pictures to use. Like there's a number of them like this.
I have understood even earlier also you have talked with me. And then I will say I have a word with you.
Yeah, like we always don't have fresh new pictures which one say a group picture or something. At random.
This Jay Prakash, he owns his
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you.